Turn off your cell phones yet. Please put them on silence now. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayura. I always laugh because my cell phone will not, I say, call Mayura, and she goes, I'm sorry, I cannot find Mira. That's right, because it's Mayura. Anyway, thank you for coming. This is always like one of the best days of the year. I want to talk about Stephen Dorff first. I met Dorff in, I think, 1991, and he was just, I was working out in LA, and he was just about to star in, as PK in John Abaddon's The Power of One. It was such an incredible movie. We had the same circle of friends, so I sort of watched, you know, the next great thing. Oh, maybe not the next great thing, the next after the next great thing. But he, you know, he just kept fooling them and making great movies. Probably one of the greatest rock and roll films. He played Stuart Sutcliffe in Backbeat. It was amazing. I just watched it this week, and it just gets better and better. He was in Cecil B. Demented. And he was in Oliver Stone's World Trade Center. He's a terrific, terrific actor. I don't know if you guys saw Motel Life, or if you didn't see it, you should see it. It's a wonderful movie. His character is so over the edge and so relatable and terrific. I hope everybody goes to see it. I hope it does really, really good business. Terrific guy, Stephen Dorff. Garcia. Well, this is what Andy always says to me. You sound just like my old Jewish girlfriend. I probably do. I first became aware of Andy Garcia the same way everybody else did. 8 Million Ways to Die, The Untouchable, Stand and Deliver, Black Rain, Internal Affairs. I mean, it was incredible. When a Man Loves a Woman. But I have to tell the Godfather story because I have to tell it. The guy who was the head of PR at Paramount, Blaise Noto, called me up and said, I know you're trying to get on the set of Godfather to interview Andy. You need to do us a favor. Come into Paramount. We want to show you a movie. Tell us what you think of it. I'll give you the Andy Garcia interview. I go, they set up a huge screening room. It's just me. They show me this movie. It's so bad. I can't believe it. I walk out. I say, I do not know what you could do with this movie. And there's like 80 people, and they're saying, do you think we should market it to women? Do you think we should market it to men? And I say, it's just awful. I mean, the pottery, the whole thing, it's so stupid. Of course it was, oh, come on, I can't even remember the name. What? Ghost. So it opens like $480,000, and I'm right. And the next week it does $4.5 million, and the next week $40 million. So I was wrong about that, but I was right about him. I got to go on the set of The Godfather. It was an amazing experience. I've interviewed Andy many times during Desperate Measures, during For Love of Country. He's a terrific, terrific actor. I do remind him of his old Jewish girlfriend. Turns out we lived on the same block in Miami. I'm a liberal Jew. He's a conservative Cuban. We have everything in common. Andy Garcia.
I'm not so conservative when it comes to Jewish girlfriends, though.
See? This is why I love him.
I also turned down the Ghost the movie, but that's just another story.
I know. He told me that after. I mean, it's still, Blaise went on to do many things, but everybody who was in that room, Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who's the head of the Academy now, whenever they see me, they were like, yeah, Ghost, they're terrible. I just didn't. So I always like to start this to ask, what's one thing you had to learn to do for a movie that you would never have gotten to do if you weren't lucky enough to be an actor? Yes, let Mr. Dorff answer that first.
I'm going to say it one more time.
What's something you had to learn to do, for a movie that you wouldn't have gotten to do,
Oh, if I wasn't an actor. I mean, I think a lot of things. There's so many things I've learned through, because I've been making movies most of my life. So I feel like I've grown up in the movies. So mostly as travel, I think, is one of the greatest things, because I've gone to all these incredible places, and then in those places, those countries, I've learned different things. You know, we were just in Machu Picchu in Peru a couple weeks ago. I've been shooting up there, and I learned about altitude, and making a movie at 15,000 feet was interesting. No, I mean, I think as far as horseback riding, what else? Learning how to shoot a Tommy gun, period clothing, all these different, basically every character kind of has a different expertise in some ways, so you have to learn that craft for each one. So I work with all these great technicians, and it's kind of fun being an actor in that respect.
That's a terrible answer.
Just for that part. Thanks, Andy.
I was going to say all of that. I went to Machu Picchu, yeah, it's pretty, it's hard to say, all that stuff is part of it,
But I've
It's
seen
hard,
you
I mean, I try to-
dance in movies, I've seen you.
Yeah, I had to learn the trumpet for a film, and probably I would never try to learn the trumpet. It's too difficult an instrument. I really didn't learn. I learned how to fake it. I got some sound out of it. It's a very difficult instrument, the aperture, and that was the most difficult, I think. Things that you have to get, and I stay up late at night and try to, actually, do scales.
Because is there anything schmuckier than the guy who's pretending to play the trumpet, and anybody who's ever picked one up says he doesn't know what he's doing?
No, I'm very proud to say nobody said that.
Okay, well, nobody said it to you. Everybody who felt that way, talk to us later.
No, actually, people said, I didn't believe you can play the trumpet so well. It was hard to do, really. It was difficult, but I videotaped, Arturo playing, and I would watch it and make sure that at the end of anything that he would hold the note, I would be in the right position, And even Arturo said, don't worry about the fingering, because you can play any single note with almost like any different type of fingering. But just, make sure you end where I end, or else people are going to go, no. Anyway, thanks, Martha, you're a pal.
I have that way of making everybody feel uncomfortable right away, so then it just gets better and better.
Like my old girlfriend.
Stephen, you grew up in Hollywood. In case you don't know, Stephen's father, Steve Dorff, is a songwriter and wrote songs with Eric Kaz. I don't know if Eric's here today or not. Are you Eric?
Eric? No.
And they wrote George Strait's huge hit, I can hear it, but I can't remember the name.
I don't even know the name of that. So, I know they've written a lot of it.
Yeah.
My dad's written a lot of. I grew up in Hollywood because we moved to LA when I was 6 months old. And my dad, I was born in Georgia, but my father, his first big song was "Every Which Way But Loose" from the Clint Eastwood movie. So I have all these funny pictures of me.
Hold on, I have the iPad here, so I'm gonna look it
I
up.
have all these like weird pictures of me like in the studio. Yeah, but like no, sitting on like with a mug.
I Cross My Heart by George.
Oh, okay. The funniest picture is like me. I have a great picture of me on Ray Charles' lap when I'm like 11, and then on Clint Eastwood's lap when I'm like 9. And when I met Clint for a movie once, I brought the picture in, and I said, "That was me on your lap." And he didn't realize that I was my dad's son. So that's kind of cool. But go on, Martha.
No, go ahead. Well, what I was going to say is you grew up in Hollywood and you've been outspoken that it's a sucky, horrible place to grow up. And you're bringing your kids up there, so how's that going?
We try to stay out of Hollywood. No, it's been very, Los Angeles has been a blessing for my family. My kids have done well there. I've done okay there. It's a good town, and you just got to know, like any town, where to go and who to associate with.
Right. But in Hollywood, the devil looks like, the devil's handsome. So it's hard to remember.
Well, the thing is, if you have, as long as you stay out of the spotlight, you're okay.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Like, The spotlight is like a drug, you can't need it or want it or depend on it.
Like those wasps, I have these crazy wasps, they're this big, and oh my God, last night I had to turn on the light outside, close all the lights in the house, open the door, let them go out, run around the house, close the door. It's like that. That's exactly what the spotlight is like. You can either get drawn to it or realize that it's going to kill you. So, okay, so you both
Like
work.
my old Jewish girlfriend.
I love his old Jewish girlfriend. I don't know about you guys, but I love her. She's very smart, tall and thin. That's what she looks like. So you both worked with Oliver Stone, yes?
No.
Okay, there we go. No, I know where I got that idea. That's right. Andy never worked with Oliver Stone, but Steve did. So tell us about that. Tell us about your experience with Oliver.
Yeah, I've been so lucky to have some great like captains, but they're all very different. You know, Oliver is a lot different than working with Sofia Coppola. You know, so it's a different.
That's what I meant. You both worked with Sofia.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, but we'll get to her after.
They're a lot different.
Yeah.
But Oliver was great. I mean, the World Trade Center meant a lot to me because I was in New York during 9/11. I was downtown staying in a hotel, and that just was an incredible moment of my life that I'll never forget in a negative way, because obviously what it did to so many people. But 5 years later, to be asked to be in that film felt really special. And I met Scott Strauss, who I played, who was the ESU worker who found those two guys with the Marine, so I loved working with him. And Oliver actually was in his, I think, you know, from what I hear from back in the day, he was a little more, you know, insane. He was kind of, you know, on schedule and on time with that movie, I think, because of the subject matter, also the studio, Paramount involved, and he was on his best behavior. So I love Oliver Stone movies. I've always have. So for me, every director's different, you know, but some are warm, some are more intense, you know.
Yeah, what about that? Do you work well with the directors who scream and are crazy?
It's just different, you know. I mean, you know, I remember once the only time I got really scared on a set by somebody's temper was and it was all just for the good of the film. It was, you know, was Bob Rafelson and Jack Nicholson on the set of Blood and Wine. I was, you know, 22 and 21, I think. And I was already nervous to be there anyway, you know, Michael Caine and Jack Nicholson and all these, Judy Davis, all these incredible talent, you know. And Bob and Jack got into it one day right before lunch, and it just got really intense. And I remember just like feeling like I had entered my parents' bedroom and walked in on a huge fight, you know, my heart stopped. I was nervous for both of them, for the crew, for everybody. I didn't know what was going on, you know. And then an hour later, after lunch, I saw Jack in the makeup trailer, and he looked at me and he felt bad, you know. I was like, you know, he said, Dorff, I think I was a little hard on Curly. And I said, oh, Jack, you know, you guys get into it. You made all these great movies together. You have like this. I tried to rationalize it for Jack. I said, what am I doing? Jack said, well, you know, I'll get somebody. You know, I'll bring some chocolates out to the set. You know, and I said, no, don't worry, Jack. We're just stressed, and you know, you guys got into it. But yeah, that was the only time I got really scared. Oliver was a breeze compared to that.
I don't think they let Curly deal with actors anymore.